Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP. But before we jump on into this video, I just want to ask guys to hit that like button. It does help the channel grow immensely, and of course I always do greatly appreciate that. But with that in mind, I hope everybody had a great Saturday. I hope everybody's having a great weekend. I just want to know, how is everybody feeling? Are you confident? Are you scared? Are you worried? I just want to know. Overall, I haven't been really worried about the market. Not until, of course, we do have a daily close under 27.7K. Once we see that happen, then I do, get concerned and I start to de-risk myself greatly. And I've addressed exactly why in terms of the Confluence floor model on Bitcoin. On XRP and things like that, though, we have been sitting stable. Honestly, I haven't seen, Bitcoin really kind of move out of this range at about roughly the 29.3K zone. We've been really kind of just watching that area for the past couple of days, just getting that major test of that area multiple times. If you go to the historical data, you could see the daily closes were right around the same range for the last couple of days. We'll most likely see this kind of sort of trade sideways until Monday, where we do see the indices open and, similar to even the dollar as well. That's when we will most likely see our most price action. But I do suspect that we will see the 27.7K level tested. We will talk about that why. Now, first off, I just want to talk to you guys about, buying the dip. So, I'm sure that a lot of you have probably bought the dip over the last couple days. I myself have been buying the dip. Sorry, I don't know why it went off that article. Excuse me. But this goes back to February 1st, 2022. Retail investors bought the dip in January as institutions fled. This is Bank of America. Now, in terms of January to roughly right around now, we have been in a massive downtrend. I don't need to tell you guys that. I'm sure that a lot of you, maybe if you held during that entire process, have probably seen this. I mean, here you guys have it going back as far as like November. Here you have roughly the January time frame where a lot of people were buying the dip right here. And we continued to have that nice little impulsive move, which would have been a great time to sell, around this area to short. And then we had that massive cascading move just recently. The interesting thing about this, right, is the fact that, institutions were not buying until just now. This tells me, in terms of confidence at around this range, institutional investors believe that we are near our bottom. We do see your Bank of America yet again. More buying of the dip seen among retail and institutional investors. This is pretty interesting, especially because when you look at stocks, right? Stocks are still in a major downtrend. They've been bearish for the last couple of days. So I'm expecting some nice price action to happen on Monday. I don't know exactly how things are going to go. I'm hoping for a nice impulse on the Dow, because we've had 8 weeks in, consecutively having a massive downtrend, which has not been seen in over 90 years. So, things right now around, stocks and even crypto are fairly bearish. But we are still seeing, accumulation happening around crypto, specifically around institutional investors. And I shared with you guys, now this goes back to the 16th, I shared with you guys these charts where we could see the inflows on crypto. And we actually do see, record inflows into Bitcoin as safety-seeking investors buy the dip. Ethereum outflows double. So a lot of the accumulation was happening around Bitcoin. As you guys do see the weak flows, we've seen, Ethereum outflows actually tallying up. While Bitcoin was continuing to be bought up and accumulated. And you guys can see who was buying this. Purpose is the best one, which is the ETF up in Canada. They were basically buying a ton of inflows in terms of Bitcoin. It was $284.8 million worth. I know that's not a ton of money, but we still seen the weekly inflows of roughly $274.2 million, which again, a lot of that was accounting for Bitcoin. So very, very excited to see where things do go. I'm definitely watching a few price action moves, and again, I've already kind of told you guys that. So with that in mind, let's kind of move on and let's talk about some buy signals. So first off, we did see this from Squawk Box CNBC. It's a bearish market. This is my third. I've always seen it, says FinTech TV Global co-founder Kavita Gupta on the Bitcoin dip. In a year's time, you and me are going to be talking about how everyone and every bank is jumping back on the bandwagon. And this is also what I foresee happening right now in this market. I think that we are in a monumental time, right? Where everyone is extremely, panicking, fearful. They don't want to buy the dip. And similar to that March of 2020 drop, I mean, look at where the March of 2020 drop is to where we are even now. It's literally a blip on the chart. This is why I say make sure that you have your emotions in check. But listen closely to what they are talking about here as well.
But it's interesting. So many companies are including blockchain or even Bitcoin as almost the center of a lot of their strategy. And even a company like Block, where Jack Dorsey recently said, look, Bitcoin, it's going to be a Bitcoin-centric future for something that you wouldn't think necessarily would use Bitcoin. So given the pullback, so many people are, once again jumping on the Bitcoin is worthless or headed to zero. They're no clothes, the emperor. So many companies are moving forward without even thinking about that. It really is at this point like a Bitcoin, like a speculative NASDAQ stock. Does that have to change or?
No, it's a bearish market. This is my third. I've always seen it. Back in 2014, 15, when the first time it happened, it was literally embarrassing to say you believe in Bitcoin in the parties. In 18, the second time when the dip happened, people were like, oh, you had something, maybe it has disappeared. And now it's the third dip of my life. And I truly, truly believe that this is the time people are going to build. You're going to see more announcement because the valuations are down, the prices are better, and you're going to see more and more announcement to be ready with the product for the mainstream adoption. And slowly this is going to trigger for a main up. And believe me, in an year's time, you and me would be talking about how everyone and every big bank and institution is jumping back or jumping for the first time again on the bandwagon. I truly believe that.
And I also do completely agree with her. I think that we are going to see a major shift in the entire market to, a point where we will see, articles coming out where institutions are buying at a massive rate, similar to what we've seen roughly around the March of 2020 timeframe. Like, I think it was like around like the summer of 2020 where we did start to see a lot more, news articles and postings around crypto. And it really started to gain a ton of momentum. And I do believe that we will see that yet again. I also just, quoted a tweet from Watcher Guru where it was just in European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde says crypto is worth nothing and based on nothing. And I said, yup, that's a buy signal if I have ever seen one. And this actually resulted in a lot of individuals talking more so about this quote and says, European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde said that while crypto assets have no value, she would guarantee a digital euro because the ECB would stand behind it. These individuals are absolute clowns if you think about it, right? So they are essentially saying, yeah, well, we don't want any crypto because it has no value. Well, what gives a digital euro value? What gives these fiat currencies value? At the end of the day, okay, you could argue that fiat itself has no true value. We look at the things in crypto and what's behind a lot of these protocols, and the value doesn't, I would say that the value doesn't, sit in the token itself. It sits in what the token is actually doing on these protocols. The utility behind a lot of these assets is valueless because when you look at the things they are doing, you can't really put a price tag on them. I've always said this about XRP as well. Like, you look at what XRP is solving in terms of the dollar figure amount, yeah, sure, it's great to kind of look at it and say, well, I think that XRP could grasp a large percentage of this market share, or if it could settle this many payments a year, it would have this market share. But you really can't put, a certain price target on it because these assets are limitless in terms of the potential and the power that they actually bring to these markets. Now, I do want to talk to you guys about some charts real quick. So, shout out to Credible Crypto for this, what we do here. This is what I was referring to in the tweet below. After the tops in 13/17, we had major bear markets in which it took 3 years to get back to highs. Current corrections are of a smaller degree, and this will be proven if/when we break to new all-time highs in some months. We just here looking forward to being bearish at, after all of this wave up to over 100K plus, that I'm expecting complete. Seeing the way sentiment is now during a mid-cycle correction means the correction that corrects the entire bull cycle from 3K to 100K plus is going to be absolutely brutal. And yeah, it's going to be. I mean, think about it like this. From 100K, an 80% drop would bring it down to 20K exact. I actually foresee we go a little bit higher, most likely to roughly like 120K around that range, because again, we've never really recorrected back to the all-time highs in terms of the bull market structure. All right, we are nearly at the tops of the 2017 top, which would be 20K. So again, with that in mind, I'm not too concerned right now, but we do see this chart outlined from Credible Crypto as well, talking more so about this fifth wave that we never seen on Bitcoin. A lot of people argue that we did see our fifth wave, but to me, we did not. And honestly, talking about this, this would be a perfect area to really start to, analyze, where you are in this market. To me, it is a very, very big risk waiting for this wave 5, but it's also a risk that I'm willing to take simply because, listen, we never reached, the full topping point of euphoria. We never really seen a major alt run across the board for a lot of altcoins. I know that we've seen, altcoins go parabolic, but they are such a small percentage of the market share value when you actually look at the broad spectrum behind crypto. And honestly, when we talk about where we currently are, it wouldn't make sense for our topping point to be right now, because if you actually looked at the days at which it took for the tops from 2011 to 2014, and then also the tops from like roughly the 2014 timeframe to 2017, and kind of compared to where we are now, it actually took us less days to top than it did from 2013 to 2017, and even 2011 to 2013. So to me, that just doesn't make sense. It looks like we are in an extended bull run, which would most likely extend into the 2023 timeframe. And I know that that is a little bit concerning to a lot of you, because I'm sure that a lot of you have been in this market for a while and have been waiting for, the parabolic topping point, especially on a lot of these assets. But to me, I think that when we look at things happening around this market, it does make sense to have those all-time highs pushed around roughly the end of this year into 2023. Now, a lot of people were actually talking about, well, it doesn't matter because the Bitcoin halving is happening in 2024, so that's when it's going to actually happen. We're in a bear market until 2024. And it does make sense on paper if you think about it like that, but we actually do see a controversial take, I know, but Bitcoin halving's more priced in than people think, in my opinion. Most not expecting new all-time high until after the next halving in 2024. I'm expecting one before. Excuse me. And I actually do completely agree with this statement. I completely agree with the idea that like a lot of this stuff is priced in, and I've always addressed this even in terms of like the Fed hikes. A lot of that's already priced into the market. Everybody just acts accordingly to it, which is the issue, right? When there's mass panic, we will see massive sell-offs. We will see massive capitulation. We will see mass fear. Individuals selling at around the bottom, which is totally expected, and they will be calling for less and less and less because they already sold at those bottoms and they want cheaper buys. But a lot of people aren't realizing the current level that we are at in this market. Everybody wants a bear market. Everybody wants a crash. And I'm going to not follow the crowd. I'm actually going to be my own person and do the opposite. I foresee us having an incredible year ahead, including into the 2023 timeframe. And this is where my level comes into play, that 27.7K level, the floor model right now on the Confluence floor model. So shout out to Real Plan C here, but the Confluence floor model is 27.5K. And you guys can see, I'm actually going to open this up in a new tab, and I want to show you guys this. So we go back to roughly, the 2018, 2019 timeframe where we kind of bottomed out during that bear market. You see a major bounce off of that level just to gain some massive traction, and we kind of had that nice little impulse. By the way, you can see this on Credible Crypto's chart. It's essentially that wave 1. Here you have that wave 1. And then that was the wave 2 down to the COVID crash, which, again, the COVID crash, perfect floor model bounce. Now, this continued to gain some massive momentum. We never had the floor model bounce until just recently, which is also why I foresee us having that 27.7K roughly daily close happening. Again, that daily close is not concerning unless we close under the floor model, which is 27.5K roughly. The 25K zone that we hit was not a daily close. You got to remember that these are daily closes that we actually need in order for the Confluence floor model to fail. So any price action below that floor model is totally fine as long as we don't close under it. Now, once we close under it, that is when I do get bearish, and I've addressed this multiple times. So to me, this is not concerning at all in the current market structure, because I'm just not concerned at all until this does break down in terms of this massive pattern that has been playing out for a very long time, by the way. This goes back as far as like 2014 as well. So with that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, up to you all, have a beautiful day or beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.